eternal light. Accepting in this moment the true perfection of all of humanity. And the willingness to take into the heart in this moment, to accept into the heart peace and harmony, and resting in that peace, in that harmony. The willingness to let go in this moment of all perceptions of defense, any perceptions that may be just hiding behind an awareness that there is anything to defend, to protect. The willingness to open the heart and meet itself, love, God, all that is. In this moment, finding the willingness of the heart to be present, aware of this moment, and fully in this moment, as fully as possible, to be present. And if there's a wanting to drift away, finding the yes to stay right here, present. In this moment, finding the willingness to surrender the day and all that you thought you knew about it, all thoughts that came into this day that said, I know this and I know that, and I perceive this and I perceive that. And any identifications you may have given to anyone, believing that anyone was something else other than the divine creation, other than all that is holy and perfect, and the willingness in this moment to surrender these beloveds and the identity that you have given them into the hands of God. And any identity you may have given yourself today, good, bad, right, wrong, more, less, making progress, or believing that you are making mistakes and needed judgment, all of it surrendered into love. Relinquishing ownership and willing to rest here in love. And breathing into this moment, the willingness to surrender the future, all that might be the temptation to figure things out of how things should be, how things should unfold, what anything needs to look like, and surrendering into love itself and truly wanting the future to unfold as the expression of love, not held in any direction, any limitation, but the yes to love, the yes to harmony, and the yes to tranquility, yes to joy. And breathing in this moment fully and deeply. And just for a moment, allowing the eyes to open, being present here. Wanting to be present in love and breathing. And returning to closing the eyes, but staying present. Affirming. And as you breathe fully and deeply through the nose, breathing in the yes, into every cell, into every molecule, wanting to be present. Breathing in deeply and fully. Inviting the throat to open and the neck to relax. And breathing. And breathing into the shoulders, hands, arms. Noticing if there's anything held, any knowing held within the muscles and the tendons, the veins. Letting all the energy flow as love. Nothing to hold on to. Surrendering everything into the hands of God. And breathing. Breathing into the spine. Inviting the spine to be released from all tension, all holding, all belief in anything separate. Surrendering the spine into the hands of God. Breathing. Breathing into the heart. Inviting the heart to come forward, open and available. Not wanting to hold anything back. Nothing to restrict, nothing to defend. And yet, being present in this moment. Surrendered. Breathing deeply into the belly. Surrendering all the organs into the hands of God. Willing for the light of love to flow and caress every inch, every molecule, every cell, to be returned to love. And breathing into the hips and thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet, all letting go, all allowing, all connecting and being surrendered. Breathing. Breathing into the emotional body, surrendering the emotional body into the hands of God. No longer willing to hold the emotional body as the expression of the mind and fear, but willing for the emotional body to express joy and harmony and compassion and peace. Breathing, being present in this moment. And affirming that here in this infinite circle of love we are one. One heart and one breath. This sanctuary is filled with love. Only love exists. This universe is all of love. Nothing else is true. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. And within this life force we live and move and breathe as one. Affirming one heart and one breath. In this present moment, opening the heart and wanting healing, wanting to remember the truth of love, finding the yes of the heart, present with your yes, present, to meet the divine with your yes, to remember the truth of oneness with your yes. I am Mary of conception. I am seeking to open your heart, offering my love and guidance as your suffering world comes apart. Bring your pain like a flower to open. Bring your sorrow to place at my feet. Tears that are watering my garden in the river of Jordan will meet. O my children, I seek your surrender. Both the path and the message are clear. My Saint John is walking beside you, holding your hand through this fear. Keep your strength as you seek to be humble. Let the power that guides you reveal all the blessings of my holy rapture, confirming you know what is real. Confirming the real. Every moment of every day, the opportunity to confirm what is real and letting go of what is false. That is the journey. Moment to moment, the yes. To question what is running. What have I given my loyalty to? What have I given my allegiance to? What am I wanting? What am I believing? And affirming that if it is in peace and harmony, that something has been made up. And the willingness to surrender every moment. Allow this prayer to enter your heart and to affirm that you are here to love. You are here to learn to love. And that the world hasn't been aware of the truth of love, the harmony, the peace of what real love is, with the willingness to accept a new way. I must love I must love in the heart. The Blessed Mother is the one who calls me to love with all of my heart. Oh, my Blessed Mother, Divine Mother, you hold us in the truth of forgiveness as we forgive the false and accept the truth. We are here to remember love. Divine Father, we say yes to that forgiveness so that we may remember to love in every moment and to be love in every moment. Elevo a mão no coração, a Virgem Mãe foi que me deu para eu amar ao Senhor Deus. Ó Virgem Mãe, Divina Mãe, vos nos perdoe os filhos seus, para nos amar ao Senhor Deus. Divino Pai, Rei Criador, vos nos perdoe nos pecadores, para nos amar com grande amor. Every moment is the moment to remember what you're here for. Not here just in this sanctuary, but here in this life, walking in this life, that you are here to remember love in every moment. And to resist the temptation to join the old habits of pain and suffering, caution and suspicion. But to put your faith and trust in the truth of love. Every moment, the choice. And as you accept that choice, you are stepping out of the identity of victim. You are stepping out of an identity that says, this world is doing something to me, rather than I am seeing through the lens of separation. And I want to see the truth of love. I want to see the truth of divine creation that is always what is present. The yes to love. In this moment, there's been a request from a beloved who is in the Philippines to hold all beloveds there in the truth of peace and harmony as they are experiencing themselves being in earthquakes. Mm-hmm. And to hold them deeply in the truth rather than joining in any way in the belief of pain and suffering and temporary life, but to open to the eternal life and holding them for them in the strength of light, in the strength of peace and harmony, in the strength of union and oneness and eternal life. Going beyond the body, going beyond the temporary into the eternal. Offering that love. That is the love. To serve humanity's remembering. So Hafiz is offering prayer of love. This offering is called Many Lives Ago. Your tastes have become refined. It used to be if someone stole all your coins or locked your sexual pleasures in a room you could not reach, this world would have no meaning and a thirst for a hemlock brew might arise. But that was many lives ago. Now look at yourself. You are often still a mess, though these days at times you weep because you miss the divine, you miss the friend. And as you open your heart to that longing, to that yes, I want to remember, all of the petty identities with the world fall away. Where Hafiz is referring to if someone stole all your coins, the humanity lives in fear of losing their possessions, of losing their survival, or what they consider to be their survival. But when you turn to the divine, you find that there is nothing to be afraid of, and everything falls away. All longings for the world to give you something start to fall away. Opening to love, opening to harmony and peace that is right here in this moment. So how can your taste become refined? That you no longer are afraid of not having something of this world. It is that leap of faith to surrender all the habits that have been holding everyone in the belief that you are separate and you are without, and that you have something to lose here, that you could be damaged, that you could be without in any way. And every day, all of these identities come up to be questioned. And all of these identities are coming from a knowing, an agreement from the past. You could make a list of all the agreements that you've had with everyone. And really shine the light on them. What do they really mean? Are they in alignment with the truth? Are they in alignment with the promises of love? That is the question. In every moment, there is a habit that is being run when love is not in your heart. If you're not aware of love in your heart, which at first it takes concentration, it takes intention to stay in the heart and to even open the heart further and further in every moment, to keep wanting to bring the heart and offer love to every beloved and go beyond the personal as if there was a separate self to be personal with. All day long, the ego is saying, what's in it for me? What am I getting? What's happening for me? What does this mean for me? And all day long, with that loud voice that keeps talking about the me, you can't hear the quiet voice of love that is wanting to direct you. If you have everything, if everything is already perfect and whole and holy, what could there possibly be missing? So every idea that there is something missing, that someone is not giving you what you want, or you might not get this thing, or you might not get this finished, or something is not enough, or whatever it is, it's all built on a house of sand. And it's built on a house of sand, but it's like a house of cards that you keep building and adding to, because each time that you believe that something is missing or something is wrong, it affirms that you have to keep searching, that you have to keep looking, and that you have to keep protecting and defending something. So how can these lies be exposed? The more that you accept the truth of love, the truth that is offered through every sacred teaching, the more these sacred truths shine the light on the upside downness of the made-up illusion of separation. There is a beautiful teaching from Jesus that says, I have no needs. I have no needs. This brings fear to the identity. I have no needs. What am I going to do with my life if I have no needs? If everything is already here, how can I possibly accept that all needs are already here and fulfilled and everything is already whole and complete? How is it possible to live in that truth if you accept it as truth for yourself? Well, this is the journey of trust. This is the journey of faith, that not in any moment is there something missing that is not completely already here. But you have to accept that there isn't anything missing. I have a vision of a beloved saying, yes, I have no needs, and yet having this tight grip on everything that they don't want to let go of as their own, as ownership. And to have the hands open, to have the heart open, and to accept that there is a power of love that is so beyond comprehension. That you would make that leap of faith to accept that you have no needs. Why would this be a divine teaching if it was not helpful? If it was not the truth that was needed to let go of all of the identity that has been made out of the perception that you are without. How is it that you live your life in the belief that you are without? When you hold the belief that you are without, and every beloved holds that belief, every beloved holds that belief that you are without. First, you have to recognize that belief. If you keep it as theory, I've heard that someplace, I have no needs. Let me repeat it to somebody else. I have no needs. Are you going to finish that cake? Everything in your whole system is constantly looking to get. It's based on getting. Your identity as a separate body, everything is for the body and it's getting. So here comes another teaching. Come empty, come naked unto God. How is it to come empty and naked? It's to strip away. Doesn't really mean you have to walk naked in the streets unless it was really called for. But it is essential to strip away all the perceptions of everything that you are believing you need in order to be okay, safe, as if there is something to be safe from. Everything. This is why the stripping away is essential. It's the identity of what you have ownership of and what you believe that you need. That you are believing you're going to get it from the world, and that you are a body, and that everything is to preserve the body. Everything. Everyone has decided, this is how intricate the entire system is. Every body has within it, as the belief of separation, has an identity that says, I know what this body needs, and I will be the provider of those needs. So, temperature, the relationship to temperature, is the perception of a need. It is a belief system that says, my body, notice that, it's not the body, it's my body, has a temperature liking, that it needs to stay within this range in order for it to be placated and carry the belief that those needs are being met through a relationship that I am providing. It isn't God. Nothing is surrendered. Everything is a habit, a system, a identity of temperature ranges and comfort levels and likes and dislikes and needs. They're all wrapped up together. Now, on the other side of that, the ego would scream, well, that would just be cruel, 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 cruel if I wasn't able to have these needs met. So God must be cruel because I'm being asked to sacrifice. But you are a prisoner of those needs, of those perception of needs. And you're wanting to keep your separate needs exactly that, separate from God. You're not wanting to Surrender everything that you know about the body, about the perception of comfort, about what it all means, what it's for, the protection that it has attached to it. Why is it, and I've mentioned this before, why would it be that in the world, in different spiritual paths, somebody would go out into the snow and stand naked and say, "Take me. Take me. And let me go beyond the attention to the system that I've made in the belief of separation, and let me open to the divine love that has no pain and suffering in it." Why would a beloved run across coals, flames? It's all practices that help step out of those perceived needs and the imprisonment of the identity of the body, and wanting to constantly placate the body as if it is you. It's to start to separate, to get to shift out of the identity of being a body, of being a temporary housing unit. In the shamanic path, it was called your apparatus. Now, why was it called your apparatus instead of your body? Because body was too familiar. But apparatus, it gave you an awareness that it was purposeful to use it for love and for service, but that it was not personal. And can the body be of service? It is, if it is surrendered into the hands of God. It cannot be of service when it is attached to mine, and I have to give it comfort, I have to give it as many pillows as possible, I have to make it the right temperature because that's what the eye says it likes. And that's what it has deemed to be correct. Instead of, imagine if you walked outside and all of a sudden there was a gust of wind, and instead of, oh, it's so cold, I can't stand it, I have to cover up, I have to run inside, I have to do whatever to be protected. Instead of that, you would stand in the wind and say, "God, show me the way. Show me, please, how to be here in this moment without attachment, without identification to what I think I know. And because I want to be free of all of these perceived needs that keep me focused and distracted from love." Does it mean that you have to punish the body? Absolutely not. There's no punishment. It's not about punishing, but in actuality, when you are protecting and defending, that is punishment. When you are needing to have all of these perceived needs met by a story that has been built out of a body system, and it's not the body that's built the system. The body is just the communication of what the mind has said is, this is what is right and the other is wrong. This is what I like and I don't like the other. All of it, all the senses are the property of the belief of battle and pain. trying to get through senses your needs met. But are your senses surrendered into the hands of God, into love? Surrendered means relinquishing ownership. Imagine if you no longer, and this to the belief of separation is a leap. If you are no longer willing to have opinions about what goes in your mouth, and instead you take it as the nourishment from God, and that becomes the joy. That you want that oneness rather than I know, I like, I don't like. And when you hear sounds, that you don't want to hear any sounds that are not the truth of God. So if there's a dog barking, and you, by habit, go into an identity of disturbance, you are willing to stop and say, I'm making that up. That is coming through the senses that we call hearing, and I am deciding, the I as a separate self is deciding this is painful, this is annoying, same thing, this is a threat, this is an attack. There's no connection to the beingness of that beloved that sound is coming through. Do you want to hear the beloved? Do you want to hear the beloved? This reminds me of that story of the man who was on top of the flood and on his roof, and he kept calling to God, wanting God to save him. The helicopter, and he said, no, I'm waiting for God. The boat came, no, I'm waiting for God. And God, when he drowned, the man said, why didn't you come and save me when I was praying? He said, I sent you a helicopter, I sent you a boat. You didn't open to that. Imagine that being that you know as the name of a dog, and the look of a dog and the sound of a dog is the divine that is coming to help you remember. But if you are in your knowing, you can't open that door, because it's all about the protection of the body and the likes and the dislikes, rather than there's a blessing here that is wanting to come as a healing. Where you step outside and the wind is blowing, do you immediately cover up and say, oh, I don't like this? This is not my temperature that I have approved of? And instead you would stop and open and say, show me the way, through this blessed wind, through this moment of that I am not the slave of a body temperature, and that I am not the body itself. Help me to go beyond this, because I don't want to be imprisoned anymore as this identity, and to keep placating the body in its million different ways that it wants to be placated. I always hear this voice of, there was a movie and a play called The Little Shop of Horrors, where it was a big plant that had to be fed, and the plant was named Audrey. And the plant always said, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. You had to find all this meat to feed it. That's what your body is saying constantly. Feed me, take care of me, coddle me, protect me. Pay attention to the temperature, pay attention to where I'm sitting, pay attention to this, pay attention to that, pay attention to everything. I don't like this light in my eye, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this. I have to be protected. And all of that is an imprisonment. It feels like you're just going along with the status quo on, oh, this is normal. Well, everything in the world is normal to the ego. Everybody's agreed on it constantly. But to step out of that agreement, as Hafiz says, it used to be if someone stole all your coins or locked your sexual pleasures in a room you could not reach, the world would have no meaning and a thirst for hemlock brew might arise. And we could add to that, or if you stood outside without the proper garments, you would just want to kill yourself right then because it would just be unbearable to the body. This is the letting go. Is it possible to go beyond this? Of course. There is nothing that is not possible to go beyond. But the world and each one in humanity has to see the upside downness, that you're a slave to it. It's an addiction. If you stood outside and it was a little too cold and you ran in the house instead of show me the way past this addiction, it isn't any different than an addiction to heroin. Does everybody remember the fairy tale, The Princess and the Pea? That under so many mattresses, the princess could still feel the pea and was so disturbed by the pea that was down 6, 7, 8, 10 mattresses. Mm-hmm. Well, this is the ego system. Everything is about the pea. And the focus on the pea is the distraction instead of focusing on the truth and on God. On the not knowing. This is all knowing. It's all knowing. It's all, I know this. I know there's a pea 7 mattresses down. I know I have to have this kind of bedding. I know I have to have these kind of blankets. I know I have to have these kind of socks, this kind of hat, this kind of this kind of this. It's all imprisonment. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that these things are bad or wrong, but they're being used as a substitute for the divine. Mm-hmm. They're being used as your God. You might as well hang your clothes and your bedding up on your altar and kneel down and worship it every night. You can put your socks on the altar, your gloves, everything that you know, that you, and you bow to these things. You bow because they are what are keeping you safe, are keeping you in your kingdom of separation. So why would these beloveds who are spiritually called, why would they walk through those tests to let go, to go beyond the identification and the battleground of protection of the body in all its thousands of ways that it's being protected? Now, what the ego would like to prove is that then the opposite would be true, that you should hate the body. Mm. And this is not about hatred. This is about seeing the apparatus for what it is and bringing love to it, but bringing the love of God to be used so that it can be used for love itself rather than for self-identity and self-protection protection and self-involvement. This is all about self-involvement. To be self-involved within the body system, making sure that everything is taken care of. We see it sometimes within the narcissism of that self-involvement. Oh, we see it in the world as, oh, look at those people that are so involved with how they look. You know, and you can shake your head at that. That it's so shallow to be so self-involved in how you look. That's no different than any other body function that is all self-involved. It's all the same. We like to point at those people because they're the ones that are the egregious ones that are so vain. It's all the same thing. It's all fear. Everyone who's walking in the world in a identity of self-vanity, of narcissism about how they look, is in fear. Fear of not being loved. The fear of not having love. And all of that fear is based on the belief that there is a need that is needed from the outside to get. If you were alone on a desert island, you wouldn't be concerned about what you would be wearing, because there wouldn't be anybody else to critique you. If you look deeply at the fear that holds all that in place, you can see that the ego is really saying, I'm afraid of everybody out there. I'm afraid I won't be loved. I'm afraid I won't be liked. I'm afraid I will be judged. It's exposing all of these fears and how they run everything through the identification of the body. The body is just the ruse. It's only because you've self-identified with the body that it becomes the focus on the body. But it's really the fear of not being loved. But it's looking for love in all the wrong places. It's looking for love outside. And if you embrace, I have no needs, then it's that willingness to be shown a new way, to relinquish ownership of identity in all of its forms, and ask the Spirit of love to show you a new way. But there is a leap of faith, because it has to be brought into manifestation. It can't be held as theory. It has to be lived. There's just no other way. But who am I? What am I if I am not this? So when the teaching of Jesus says, I am not a body, I am free, I am still as God created me. I am still as God created me. I am free. There is no freedom in the perception of needs. Because when you believe you have needs and you are placating and answering those perceptions of needs, that is the imprisonment. Because what happens if there's no heat? Are you in devastation? What if there are no lights? What if there are no socks? What if there are no pillows? What if there are no chairs? Are you in devastation? What if there are no hairbrushes? What if there's no shampoo? Are you in devastation? I have no needs. And so every time, when I was in the spiritual journey and this teaching came, I have no needs. I walked around it like I was looking at a car I was thinking about buying to see if I could be with it or not. I had to say yes. I had to say yes. It was right there. Was I going to all of a sudden say no? So here it was. I have no needs. Show me the way. Show me the way in every moment that I have no needs. So every time something came up, which was all the time, putting on a coat, putting on this, fixing this, making sure this is like I like it, believing that somebody had something that I didn't have, every single time that teaching would be right there. I have no needs. Everything is already within. Can I come back into this moment and rest in love and find that wholeness within? Because it was all the mind that was saying, I need this, this is important, this is that, this means this means that. I have to have this, I have to have the temperature at this temperature, I have to have this covering this up, I have to have this so that it feels right, I have to have this because I like this against my skin. The skin then becomes the battleground. What if all of the fuzzy wuzzies were gone and there was nothing but burlap? Would you die? Would you all of a sudden be without? Would you be less? Where are your needs, your perception of needs coming from? I don't like that. I don't like the feeling of burlap against my skin. My skin, my identity. I have identified burlap. I have identified the skin. I have identified that this is a distressful thing because I have determined what it all means. And it is in that meaning that all the pain is and all the imprisonment is. To be free. I am not a body. I am free. I am still as God created me. I have no needs, and I am still as God created me are right together. God's creation is not without anything. God's creation cannot be missing anything. So if you have no needs, that would be in divine alignment, that everything is whole and complete already. This is the journey within. To step out of suffering cannot be found through getting more of your perception of needs met. It's not possible. The ego's identity says seek and do not find. That's why you're constantly looking for the next best thing. Because what you have now doesn't satisfy anymore. So the pillows keep getting more and more, and the cushions get more and more, and the temperature gets more and more and has to be controlled exactly, and the amount of air has to be exact, and everything has to be exact. And it's all like a squeeze that's an imprisonment, because all of your attention is going to the world and everything that you think is going to make you feel better, okay, but it's all coming from the mind. This is all the insanity. How is it possible that, let's look at our beloveds in the Philippines. How is it possible, I'm not talking about the earthquakes, I'm talking about just living. How can these beloveds not live with thermostats, with air conditioning, with whatever, or eating rice and beans, or sitting on the floor on a mat instead of having the perfect chair with the perfect, whatever. At some point you have to step out of that identification with needs and really come back into the center of your being. Does it mean that God wants you to suffer? Absolutely not. But the key is that the suffering is coming from the identification as the body. When I was in the shamanic path, and we would sit for 8 to 10 hours, or stand for 8 to 10 hours. It was all a practice of letting go and focusing on the prayers, love, communion within, meditation. It was all to step past that identity of the body. That's why it was called the apparatus. Does it have to be in that form? No, because it's all coming from the mind. It's the mind that says, I know how this should be. And it is the mind that says what dictates what pain is and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Constantly. You look outside to see if you approve of the weather for the day. You look at the temperature on whatever you look at the temperature on, and the mind is automatically saying, I like that, I don't like that, oh, this is good, this is bad. This is all narcissism. Now, it isn't just about calling it narcissism, but temperature is a beautiful example of a self-absorption. I like this. There's no consideration that there is a weather pattern that might be more helpful for others that are raising crops or whatever. It's all self-absorption. What is it that I want? What is it that I believe I need? What is my agreement? What is my habit? What is my agreement with whoever, with the world, and letting it go. So when Hafiz says, but that was many lives ago. Now look at yourself. You're often still a mess, though these days at times you weep because you miss God. That weeping is the recognition of what you truly want. And that you don't want to keep living in this false identity that just happens to be because you live in a particular place, in a particular town, in a particular way, and is your all of that identity really different from someone else who is living in Pakistan, Africa, Iceland? Doesn't matter where. Everyone is making up a story and saying, let's have a battle where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And always looking for something better. There is nothing outside. It's all within. And it's to keep coming back within and finding love and opening the heart and letting go of this identity as the body, as a separate self, as pain and suffering, as a battleground. And yes, on the other side of that perception of battle, but it's actually still part of the battle, is the identity with pleasure. The princess and the pea. Did she finally get satisfied? Were there enough mattresses there to satisfy the demands of the body? Or did she turn to God?
Mm.
And the willingness to let go of that identity, that agreement, that perception of what was needed, wrong, missing, identified with. Jump into the snow. That willingness to go beyond the senses, go beyond the perceptions of what is needed. Including, absolutely including, all the beliefs that someone has something that you don't have. Not just things, but attention. That without things, gifts from others, whether it's in being taken care of or it's being offered anything, that you would be without it, that you would be somehow without. Go into the closet with God. Go into the closet and recognize that everything is already here. The willingness to recognize that everything is already here, that nothing is missing. And then the search is no longer going in the wrong direction. It's no longer looking outside and thinking, if I can just get that. Whether it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's objects or attention or someone looking at you the right way instead of what you consider to be the wrong way, or saying the wrong thing because you have decided it means this or it means that, or it doesn't matter what it is. It's the perception that there's something outside that has to be corrected and fixed in order for you to be whole and complete. That you have everything. That you are everything. Whole and complete. But you can't hold on to the trapeze bar of everything that you like and everything that you consider to be necessities of your comfort and the necessities of your okayness. You can't let go of that trapeze bar and open to the trapeze bar of love. And there has to be a letting go.
Mm.
And what is surrender? Surrendering is just a relinquishment of ownership, of identity. Everything is here. Everything is complete. I have no needs. There's nothing missing. We look at, there's a new phenomena that has come up in the last few years called hoarding. It's like the social illness of the day. And again, that expression is in a way used by humanity to say, well, at least I'm not like that. I don't hoard like that. I don't have my room stacked with so many things I can't move. I just hoard what I really like. And I try to protect it and hold on to it so that I don't have to do without, because I believe that I would be doing without. But when you look at those beloveds who are hoarding, don't look at them with pity. Don't look at them with, oh, they're a mess. It's the same reflection. It's just the extreme. So this is what humanity does. This is what the ego does. We'll put it on someone else as they're really bad. They're really a mess, because then I feel better. And mine is normal, and theirs is extreme. This is the same thing that humanity does with, the ego does with murderers. I can be irritated. I can be upset. I can be disgusted. I can be angry. I can be all kinds of things, but I'm not a murderer. But to be out of love is to be out of love. And it's all the same. It's just levels and degrees that have been made to look like there's more so that you feel better. This is not understandable with the mind that made up all the beliefs of degrees and levels and differences, more and less, right and wrong. Is that you've forgotten love. So whether you're attached in what you consider to be a small way to your things and your comforts and your identity that this is what makes you okay and that this is how you stay away from pain, it's upside down, because it isn't keeping you away from pain. It is your pain, because it's your addiction, your attachment, your identity. And it's always going to end up being painful, because it's your little kingdom. It's your little identity. And there's no joy there. There's no union there. I've said this a few times. Imagine that someone is eating whatever your favorite dessert is. Piece of chocolate cake, cheesecake, chocolate shake, whatever. Piece of candy. What's your favorite dessert? And someone else is eating that dessert while you're sitting there. If you feel deprived in that moment, it is because that you believe that you're a body, and that your body is not getting what you believe somebody else's body is getting, and you are not in union in that moment. You are not reveling in the perfection that that beloved is having that beautiful moment, and that you are completely connected, if you want to be, in that beauty, in that perfection, if you choose to be. If someone else has on a jacket and the body that you are in is experiencing cold, you could be completely warmed by your heart being opened and being connected in holy union and going beyond your identity as a body. But you can't go there because you're affirming all the time that, no, this is my body that I need to take care of and that I believe in and that my needs need to be met. There is a my, there is an I, and not the recognition that there's nothing missing. If the body needs warmth, do you not believe that God could provide the warmth that is needed or change completely the thermostat of your whole system and be in peace in that moment because your attention is no longer on the physical? This is the surrender. This is the yes, the willingness to go beyond what you know. There is a beloved who asked a question that's perfect, of course, in this moment. The question is, I have heard it said, personalities don't love, they want something. Is this true? Absolutely. Yes. The personality is what is the identification that is wanting something through the needs, through the perception that everything is not whole and complete, and that perception, that identity cannot love. There is no love in the perception that there are needs that you have to have met, because love is extending what is whole and complete. Love is the recognition that this is not a personal love, it is divine love that is being offered with no expectations of anything in return. And in the world, in the name of love, what is given is an expectation of something in return. I love you, I admire something in you that I believe fits with me. Who is the me that it fits with?
Mm-hmm.
There is a beautiful teaching that lately has been in the atmosphere. A woman should be so lost in God that a man has to go through God to find her.
Mm-hmm.
A man should be so lost in God that a woman has to go through God to find him. A man should be so lost in God that a man has to go through love, through God to find him. To go through God, to recognize God in every beloved is love. Has nothing to do with identity. Has nothing to do with a perception of needs. It has to do with, I want to offer love. I want to offer the heart. I want to see the beloved. I want to see the divine. I want to see God in every beloved. And I have no needs. Everything is full. Everything is complete. There is nothing needed. I am not a body. I am free. I'm still as God created me, whole and complete and eternal. Nothing missing, nothing ever missing in that willingness. How is it possible to unravel the identity that seems so dense and seems so all-encompassing? It's moment to moment, that willingness to step back and let love lead and show you the way. Is this helpful in this moment? If I have no needs, if you hold that in your heart, I have no needs, I'm whole and complete, then the question becomes, what is this for? What am I seeking? If I have no needs, if everything is already here, what am I seeking outside? What am I trying to get, and what is it for? And what do I believe in if I am protecting and placating the mind of a perception of needs? I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm uncomfortable, this is more comfortable, this is necessary, this is not necessary. These are all knowings. Instead of, I want to step back, step out of identity just for a moment. By stepping back, you are stepping out of identity for a moment, a second maybe, but it's like not as entrenched. It's not as dense. When you step back, you're already saying, there's another way. And I want love to lead. I want to be shown the way. I want to step back and not assume from my habits of the past that this is helpful at all. I don't know the way. I don't know the way. But I'm here to remember love. Please show me the way. Show me what's most helpful. Is it helpful to be without socks, even though it's 10 degrees? Then yes, I'll be without socks. To go past the imprisonment, the belief of imprisonment, that I can be hurt, that I can be damaged, that if that's what God is calling to me to do, then I will. Mm-hmm. If God says, take a cold shower instead of a hot shower, yes, I will take a cold shower because I want to step out of this imprisonment of protection, out of the belief that there is something to protect and defend, the belief of the temporary. This is the same teaching as Abraham with the identification of his son. This was not cruelty. This was the relinquishment of ownership, the relinquishment of identification that this being that was in the form of a child that was named his son was not his son, but was God's. It was not an ownership. It was the oneness. And surrendering that back, letting go of ownership of everything that you believe in, of needing for protection. All of that protection, you wake up in the morning, there's fear. Because it's a day of protection. It's a day that has to be given to protection all day long. What am I going to wear? What's going to be warm enough? Am I going to be this? Am I going to be that? Am I going to be comfortable enough? Am I going to do this? It's all self-absorption. And it's not about the opposite that would be the other side of the coin, of the ego coin, that would say self-hatred, because that's all self-hatred. Self-absorption is self-hatred. Because you're not home. You're not in love. You're not available. You're not saying yes and communing with God. You're in your own little kingdom of self-identification and self-protection and the belief of needs. And this is the calling. I have no needs. Show me the way. If everything is whole and complete, show me the way. I'm saying yes. Yes to love. Yes to harmony. Yes to peace. Yes to wholeness. Nothing else. Is the mind tenacious? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even that's a belief, but it's habits, it's addictions to I like, I know, I want, is exactly that. It's a trance that just how many times in humanity has there been habits in cultures where everybody, when there's a choice of something shifting out of that culture, that everybody says, oh no, we've always done it just like this. No, 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 we don't change anything. We do it our way. This is my way. This is my agreement. This is what I know. This is what I want. And then there's no, it's all that separate identity and separate life. And now is the calling to come home to God. Yes, my love.
I want to see if I can take this all the way. Because I'm not trying to understand it in my mind, but seeing what would happen. Let's say, so I have a perceived need of thirst. Let's say I'm very thirsty. Mm-hmm. This is my perceived need.
Right.
And by some wonderful miracle, I'm able to fall time and become an awakened being at that moment. Mm-hmm. So I would no longer have the need of thirst. And I might not drink any water whatsoever.
You might not.
And I might never drink any water again. And the body might actually be called on to leave.
Or
right?
not.
Or not, right. But that, taking it all the way, that could happen, right?
At the very least, it's no longer drinking without asking, is this helpful in this moment? Because it is about surrender.
Right.
It is about, I am not placating this body, I am giving it to God, and I am asking if this is most helpful.
Right. And I do it, I think I get that. But I was just trying to take it all the way, that
if that was most helpful,
if that was most helpful, that could
yes.
happen. Right?
Yes.
Okay, he just wanted to, I thought that was it, but I wanted to.
Because it doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't matter
whether the body
stays or not.
Right. Now it's a very fine study.
Yeah, because I can see the ego fighting with itself.
Right. So that's not going to come. That isn't going to come probably while there is still a battle with the ego.
Yeah.
It's more than likely going to be beyond that.
Right.
But all of the habits, all of the mouth is dry. Oh, I have to drink something. Who is the master? Who is your divine physician? Who are you asking? You're asking the mind that made up separation, and you're listening to the mind that says, I have decided I'm thirsty. The mouth is part of I, and I am satisfying that, rather than what is most helpful. Let's go to the other side of it. I hated water. Hated it. This was a family tradition. Hated water. In surrender, I was called to drink water. Not for the body, not for, oh, this is healthy, this is this is that. No, it was a submission. It was a surrender of allowing the divine to have this body, surrendering the whole system. If it was helpful in the truth of God to drink water, yes, okay, drink water. No personal attachment, identity, no personal needs being played with. Just, if that's most helpful, I'm saying yes. It's not personal. But not listening to the mouth saying, the mouth is dry, or I like this, or I drink every 20 minutes I drink this because that's what I have decided is whatever,
Right.
Whatever story's been made out of it. Just surrendering everything into the hands of God. And just allowing it. And then the personal falls away. Personal needs, the personal attachments, the personal wants, the personal desires. The personal just means there is a me that is separate, that has separate needs and separate wants and separate identity, separate personality, that is the dictator and lives in a separate kingdom. So it's all just surrender. So as we close, finding the willingness of the heart to surrender, relinquish ownership of the perception of needs, perception of a separate self, and no longer wanting to be the slave of a body identity, no longer wanting to placate, and through that wanting to be distracted and separate in your belief, and wanting that wholeness and the remembering. To remember there's only one heart and one breath. And accepting a new relationship with abundance that cannot be understood with the mind, but opening to the ease and grace of love's movement. In this moment, accepting the abundance of love that shows up in all forms. And in this moment, accepting the abundance of love through donations that help to support this teaching of love for all of humanity. As we say yes. And as we close, the willingness to open the heart and be present, and to hold this love open and available, going beyond perceived personal identity, coming into holy union.